upon, you know, markets and et cetera? What would be the challenges?
The challenges for sellers have always been three things. And those three things are more important than ever. And I'll tell you what they are. It's very simple because we always say there are three reasons why a house doesn't sell.
Sure.
Insufficient marketing, poor condition, or overpricing. It's going to be one of those three.
Poor condition of the home.
Yes.
Okay.
It's going to be one of those three, and a combination, it may be a combination of more than one.
Okay.
Might be all three.
Right.
But, and of course, if you price something low enough, you can obviate even the poor marketing, or you can obviate the condition, or you price it for the condition. But what sellers obviously want, what buyers want, is not to overpay.
Sure.
And what sellers want is not to have their property sell for below market value. And the keys to that, first of all, marketing today, it so means internet presence in a very strong way, because buyers shop for houses
on the internet.
On the internet. Over 80%
well,
of
it
buyers.
makes sense because typically now you have both adults, you know, working if it's a family, limited time, limited access to, you know, do the Sunday drive-bys, etc. Whereas now I think people are more apt just to jump online and say, okay, what's open in this geographic location for our cost and what we're looking for, and up pops a list.
Precisely. You know, you're right. You hit on the nail on the head where folks just are too busy, and they want to streamline it. And I always say people search for homes with the following mindset. They're looking for reasons not to go out and look at it. How can I eliminate this one? And when they find those things that it looks like a busy street or whatever their issues are, they don't want it, it's insufficient. They're looking for reasons to set it aside, to streamline that search as much as possible, and that makes good sense. So the seller's presence on the internet being the first of marketing, and having the right information and the right presentation on the internet, and that's the skill of whoever is marketing your house, and that's very important. And I don't have to get into the everything on that. But the next thing is I'm going to talk about condition for a minute, because market tends to change its views on condition. I've seen it happen in my years in real estate. There are many times where young folks in the past have looked for the fixer-upper because they want to add value and what we call sweat equity. You know, they have the energy to do what needs to be done in the time.
Right, and I think that's called, right, well, maybe if they're not going to sell it, but I watch a lot of HGTV and all of that.
Well,
flip.
Yeah, that's an investor going to flip
okay.
it. This is a young couple that wants a nice house, and they're willing to do some work.
Put the work into it and make it the home they want.
Make it the home they want, so they get a little stronger location or a little bit more expensive a neighborhood, and buy less of a... Well, we're seeing far less of that these days. And I think it again goes back to people don't have the time. You have to be dual income to afford housing today, for the most part. For these young people, that's very true. And so they're less able to do that sort of sweat equity, and the cost of building and remodeling, and it's so high for them.
So high.
So the key to putting your house on the market is try to get it into as reasonable a shape as possible. Cure any deferred maintenance. You may not be able to have the funds in getting your house ready. You may not have the funds to do any capital improvements. And by capital improvements, I mean remodel a kitchen or a bath.
Sure.
Good realtor can tell you how to make those rooms look as updated or as fresh as possible. But the deferred maintenance issues are another story, because buyers can walk in, and as long as the plumbing and the heating systems are in good order and the gutters aren't rotted or whatever, those things are taken care of. They can live in it a while with an older kitchen or older baths, and it still helps them move forward. So condition is more important than it has been in the past.
Okay.
Last is price. I would say that it's very seductive to interview 3 brokers and have them
Price
all give you a price, and then you select the broker who gives you the highest price.
Really?
Oh yes, that's done commonly.
Oh, okay.
And I have to really emphasize that while it's seductive to do that, there are oftentimes a broker might give you, sadly, a price that they think is more than it is worth because they're in a competitive situation. You really want a broker with whom you can work with really well, who you feel is really giving you as much solid information as possible. And you don't want that buying the listing to occur, because every study on pricing in the United States since the beginning of time shows when you overprice a property, you eventually get less than fair market value.
It would make sense, yeah.
The first thing out of a buyer's mouth is, how long has it been on the market?
I was one of those buyers.
Okay, and the longer it's been on, the less you're going to offer.
Of course.
And know this too, this is very important for sellers. When you first put your house on the market, there are a pool of buyers. And that pool of buyers has already sold their property or has nothing to sell. They have been pre-approved, and they are what we call ready, willing, and able.
Okay.
Those are the buyers. You get so many showings your first week on the market.
That's probably the hot.
Those are your best buyers.
Okay.
As time goes on, you start getting the I'm just starting to look group. I haven't put my house on the market yet group. Or I don't know if I even want to move. I'm looking to see what's out there. So you start getting those buyers who are 6 to 12 months out. It's that first group. And if they reject you at the price, there's something to be...
So at what point would you reassess?
I would reassess if I had no second showings whatsoever in that first week. I'd be rather concerned. There's another old, I'll give you these expressions that we use in our business that are very true. You have to sell to 3 Bs when you put a house on the market. The first B is the broker's preview day. If I go into a house that's come on the market on a broker preview day, and it is just lovely and well priced, I am on the phone to my client as soon as I get in the car to say, you've got to come out. How early can you get off work?
Okay.
This is a great house.
Right.
If you're ever going to get your asking price, or believe it or not, more than you're asking, still today, it'll be those first couple of days, because every other realtor's walking out of the broker's open house doing the same thing.
Sure.
So you're getting that great crowd. So you've sold it to the Bs, the first Bs, the brokers, they're enthusiastic. And then the next wave is are the buyers, of course.
Okay.
And brokers don't set the market. The market determines the market. So I can recall countless houses that brokers have been enthusiastic about, and the buyers come and are less enthusiastic, and the buyers are driving the bus. We only have a crystal ball backwards. We don't have the crystal ball forwards. We can only see what happened.
Right.
But then again, the buyer comes along and likes the house and bids on the house and pays for the house. Well, guess what? We've got one more B involved that we have to please.
I'm trying to figure it out.
The bank.
Oh, okay. That would make sense.
That makes sense. So you asked when I would, it would be at what point when I would really reconsider the asking price. If the first wave came through and you have no showings booked, and that does happen on a severely overpriced property, you have no showings. The brokers at preview didn't bother to get in their car and call their client, because you don't want to waste your client's time.
It's a waste of your time.
Waste of ours, waste of theirs. So that's a key to do it week 1.
Right.
If you still are getting a lot of showings and second showings, you would wait 2 or 3 weeks, and if you still don't have an offer, you would make an adjustment then.
Okay.
And that, your showings are going to drop off like a stone at that point. So you'll know that's the time that the market has rejected the property at this price. So that's just a little bit of a tip. So sellers have more to think about today.
I know selling
Mm-hmm.
about 2 years ago, I sold a home in the western suburbs.
Mm-hmm.
We were very fortunate. We did for sale by owner.
Mm-hmm.
Being the vice president of the Better Business Bureau and reporting on the industry, I'm like, I can do this by myself. Well, it was really difficult, very difficult. We were very fortunate to find a couple that did purchase the home, less than what we wanted, but we turned around and purchased a home that was on the market, newly built, for significantly less than what they had it on, because it was on the market for a year.
For so long.
And we started 150,000 less than asking, and worked our way up, and obviously to have a mutual. But that was the first thing we said. It's on the market for a year. This builder is losing out, so he has to come to some type of agreement with us because no one else is interested. But back then, something that I hear a lot of people talking about is, well, you didn't have to put anything down. And now they're asking, it didn't matter what the cost of the home was. It appeared banks were just saying, okay.
You could, with private mortgage insurance, get 95% financing, but that is not an option any longer.
Any longer.
Yeah, right.
And then that affects the people now,
Yep.
when you go to refinance. I feel like it plays a role as well. Is it a good time to refinance? Is it not? What did you put down? Where are you at? Now, all of those
How much
things,
equity do you have?
Right. How much work did you put into it? What could you afford? And we all know during this economic time, putting work into your home, although it's extremely important, and I firmly believe that it's probably the best use of money is your home, your education for your children, etc. There's a list that I have. At the end of it, right now, when you're getting reappraised or whatever, a new appraisal done on your home, not necessarily maybe what you put into it. So
Yeah, what you paid and what you put into it have nothing to do with market value.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah.